What I'm sitting on now is a rocking chair. You can go back and forward with it. And it's safe because it's built in such a way that the chair can carry your weight. So old people often sit on rocking chairs, or you have mothers sitting on rocking chairs with their babies and going back and forth with their babies, having a good time. And this can be quite fun and it can be relaxing, especially if it's good weather with wind. But there's one thing about a rocking chair, and the name already said it. It keeps you rocking, going back and forward. So a rocking chair, it works. It does. You can sit in it. It doesn't fall apart. It can carry your weight, and you're in movement. And you don't have to make it move. You can just push a little bit, and then it will go automatically back and forward, back and forward. There's only one glitch or one trap with a rocking chair. You won't get anywhere. I know that rhymes, but it's true. A rocking chair will not get you anywhere. It's comfortable and you're going back and forward. So there is movement, but it's busyness. It means you're occupied with an activity that doesn't get you anywhere. And that's how society is most of the time. Or that's how society is in general. And that's how people that adhere to society often are. They are in this routine to pay their bills. That's why they go to their job from 9 to 5, or maybe it's a part-time job. They pay the bills because they receive a compensation at the end of the month. And they're stuck in this compensation seeking. Each month they're looking forward to their paycheck. There's nothing wrong with the paycheck, don't get me wrong. Okay? Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with performing labor. We need to perform labor. I mean, if you have to eat, then you need to bring the food to your mouth. And once in your mouth, you need to chew on it. You need to swallow it. There is natural effort necessary as a human being. Okay? Even animals have this necessity for natural effort. Okay? So does a human. Even if people would come with the food all the way to your mouth, you still need to open it to receive it. Then you need to do what you have to do. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with labor, and there's nothing wrong with receiving remuneration for labor. But when you're stuck in a cycle, that's a problem, because now you're not alert. Now you're stagnating. Now you're being busy or being occupied. So being busy means you're occupied with activity. So now you're occupied for the sake of being occupied. So the occupation doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't serve any bigger purpose. You think it serves a purpose because you get a paycheck at the end of the month and you can fill your stomach with food you purchase in a supermarket, but you never think further. You never think, okay, so I need to perform physical and mental labor, which also takes emotional toll on me, just to get a compensation at the end of the month. And that compensation is just a small compensation to remain alive, to pay the rent or the mortgage, and then to purchase groceries so that I can remain alive. So these residents that people rent, who builds them and who owns them? So it's the one that owns them that the month has to pay rent, right? Okay, what about those supermarkets? Who builds them and who supplies the food there? So you see there's a whole system and with interest and benefits surrounding it. And the currency you're using, whether it's dollars or euros or yen, whatever it is, who's printing it? Who designed it? Oh, someone designed it and someone is printing it. So then you realize it's a construction. And there's nothing wrong with social constructions, okay? But the moment you realize that you're stuck in a cycle that's enabled by a construction, you need to ask yourself, who made this construction? Oh, people made it. Who are those people? Why was I never informed that this is just construction? Why was I trained since a child just to get along and to get into this construction? And this construction, it does really benefit me in the long run, because yes, I can eat at the end of the month, or I can eat because I get a compensation at the end of the month, but why am I dependent on a compensation? Why don't they just donate much of that currency to you each end of the month, each end of the week, and you can spend it in the community? Why do they do that? Why do they force you that you have to give off your life source through labor to get it. And then you have those who designed that currency and will print the currency and they don't perform any labor at all. So why do we have to perform labor all the time? And we become tired at the end of the day, we can't do anything else anymore. And there are also a lot of people facing accidents at work. Why are the days of our lives sucked up by this routine or by this pattern? And we just have to be happy and take it. Somewhere you need to begin to use your natural senses. Think, hold on a minute, something ain't right here. There's nothing wrong with labor. There's nothing wrong with remuneration for labor. There's nothing wrong with currency that you can use to exchange goods and services. But the moment you're conditioned to be stuck in a routine, you need to ask yourself, why do they want me stuck in this routine? Why do they overwhelm me with Hollywood, with Disney, or with other types of entertainment? Because all that entertainment is distracting you from seeing you're stuck in a cycle. Because the moment you're stuck in a cycle and you look at it, you begin to ask why. And once you begin to ask why, they can't explain it to you because it can't be justified. Then it will explain to you that those that run the construction, that they worship demons, that they worship the beast, who's Apollo. They need to explain who Apollo is. They need to explain that their purpose is to keep you away from Christ because they're jealous. And they need to explain that they really don't have anything valuable to offer you. And once they have to explain everything, it's over. You would never naturally give in to that construction. So they need to keep you occupied with labor. That's your day-to-day job, and they need to keep you occupied with entertainment outside of the labor, so you wouldn't have the mental capacity left to question the situation. And a lot of folks are cowards. They don't want to question it because then they need to face the answers. So a lot of folks just enable the cycle, and they're stuck in that rocking chair. And because there's entertainment, and entertainment can also be those romantic relationships, which are just sexual distractions, so they are rocking. Every end of the month, after paycheck, every weekend they go to clubs and bars, or they go to church every Sunday or on every Sabbath. Oh, they have those sexual distractions that relieve them for a while, so they go for it. You also have the LGBT things going on. So all of that is going on. And then they're in a cycle over and over again. Years of their lives pass by. After after 5.5, maybe 6 decades of their lives, oh dear, we are in our 70s. Whoa, that went very quickly. No, life isn't short and it didn't went by very quickly. The thing is, you've forfeited life for a cycle. And because we're stuck in a cycle, you couldn't operate fully as a human. You operated as a part as an organic part of a machine. And you got compensation and relief in exchange. And that's the deal you give yourself over to. So that's why you couldn't actually live as a human being. So now that all those decades pass by, that you're tired, you're exhausted, and probably you develop diseases and all kinds of bodily defects, now you realize, oh dear, I'm not young anymore. Or now you realize, oh well, life is short, blah, blah. No. Life is life. Time is a human construction that some worshippers use. Now, I'm not saying that time as a sequence of events does not exist, but time as a mental construct is made by some worshippers. God only made day and night, or night and day. So your nights and days, because night was before day, so your nights and days ought to be spent in line with Christ. He wants you to live at his expense. That's why he wants to be worshipped. The worship of God implies that you live on the earth at his expense. Yes, you have your daily activities. For example, you go to the groceries, or maybe you are performing labor. So you have your natural things that you do in your daily life, but you do it at his expense. So you walk in his strength at his expense. And because he's infinite, he can never be exhausted. That's how he's glorified. But a lot of folks don't go there. They give over to some man-made structure in the hope that one day is going to give them freedom. And that quote-unquote freedom is when they're in their 70s or 80s and they're completely exhausted, then they're not considered valuable to the machine anymore, or society anymore, and now they're treated as a monument, a living monument, as the elderly. And In some societies, even then, they're not treated well, they're discarded, and yet, and they're left with a few years, and then they're gone. And then they're buried, or let me say the body is buried because they'll be in Sheol, awaiting the resurrection. Or the body is cremated and people pretend it never existed. And some of them, while they're still in the cycle, they get accidents or they die prematurely. And what happens within a week, the boss has someone else to continue in the cycle. So when you think about it, you're selling out yourself to be left alone. It's due to violence that people comply with this cycle. But okay, when you're a kid or in your early teens, I can understand that. Okay, I don't blame you. But the moment you're in your late teens, in your adolescent years, you should look around your life. So hold on a minute, what is this? Why should I invest the strength of my youth into this machine that they call society, and eventually, if I would fall down and die, they can't do anything for me. So they don't have the power of life to resurrect me. So why should I worship this thing called society? Even if they had the power to resurrect me, it never happened. They don't have the power, never will, but it never happened. Even if I didn't fall down and die, even if I did just, if I was just not able to work anymore, not able to get along anymore, people just forget about you. So why would I give over to such a thing? But a lot of folks, at the end of their teenage years, they're so into those sexual and romantic distractions, they don't think clearly. They don't. So they end up with a yoke, with a cyclical yoke, and they put up with the yoke because they want to please those around them. And it works, you please those people, but what does please those people benefit you in the long run? You hand over your life source, you hand over your health, your well-being, your sanity, your nights, your days, you had it all in to get some compensation back. So from the 365 days in a year, you're only left with maybe 25 or 30 to just be yourself, to do what you want to do. So over 90, is it 90%? Yeah, around 90% of your year is handed over to the machine, to the fear construct. And you only get 10%, sometimes even less in return? Are you kidding me? If you hand it in to 10 or 20% and you would remain with the 80%, and in the 80% you have benefits, okay, that would be a good deal. If it was half-half, even then I would be a bit careful, but okay, I can understand that. But now you're left with a minority by handing over the majority? No. That's the thing with the rocking chair. It keeps you busy. It's busyness. That's why people say you mind your own business. So tell you to be occupied, whatever you're occupied with. But the occupation does not benefit you in the long run. Again, I'm not saying having a job in itself is a sin or that's something evil. But the moment you're stuck in a routine and people don't want you off the routine, oh, now you need to be delivered. Because now you're being used. You're being used as a battery to feed demons. Demons, which are evil spirits, who don't have the right to be on the earth. They're only on the earth illegally because the Most High kicked them out of the heavens. And some of those demons brought forth filthy offspring, who are also demonic spirits, who are Nephilim spirits. They're also around. So you have losers are kicked out of the heavens, out of their dwelling place. Some of them have illegal offspring that shouldn't even exist. So they're now floating around, roaming to the earth. They shouldn't be here, and now they want to be acknowledged and venerated at our expense. And you have those sellouts amongst the human population that get along with them in exchange for ease, and those sellouts trick you and those around you to get along with this machine. So just think about it. If those evil spirits shouldn't even be here, if they have nothing to say or nothing to will or nothing to want in the earth realm, how come you comply with human sellouts who will forfeit their humanity to get benefits at your expense? Why are they doing that? Just think about it. Look, I'm not blaming you here, I'm not pointing a finger at you to look down on you. No, I'm just telling you to think about it. I know a rocking chair or a comfort zone, as they call it, can be comfortable, but you're in a cycle. There is no actual change. There is no improvement. There is no, how to say, there's no advancement. There's none of that. All the life is sucked out of you over and over again. And you get some compensation back that keeps you happy, well, happy that keeps you relieved. As you're going and going, and the demons feed off of you, the elites who worship those demons, they have the ease, and you have the labor, you have the hardship, and eventually you're gone. They don't do God's will. You may not be born again. You may have you've turned into a reprobate, and now the lake of fire awaits you at the resurrection. Is that a good deal? No. I'd rather have you to become born again, to align yourself with Christ, and to overcome the beast system in the here and now, and to live in the here and now. When you do that, you will face retaliation by the cowards that keep this fear construct going. But I'd rather have you enduring all that tribulation and overcoming it, than to have you being in a rocking chair that enables violence and enables harm, and it doesn't get you nor anyone anywhere. Don't you realize that when you hand over to this fear construct of society, that you become useless in many areas? Let's say you have a child, okay, and this child is saying that there's an adult that's bothering him. Normally, when you hear this, you should be alert. Because remember, this is a child. A child can't think in complex ways. So when you hear it of a small kid that an adult is bothering or touching in the child, you should realize, what? Okay, you should be alert. But don't you know that there are parents? They're so occupied with work, with their sexual distraction. I don't call that a marriage. The world calls it a marriage because they have a ring on their finger. But when you look at how they don't function as Christ intended. So I'm not going to give that a label of marriage. I won't. So it's just a distraction. It's just fornication in disguise, actually. So they have their sexual distraction, and they're occupied with a job, and that's almost undermined. Yes, they have a child as reward for their relief. But because they're so occupied and dependent on the fear construct or society, they don't pay attention to what the child is saying. Or maybe the child doesn't really say it, but the child begins to act in weird ways around a certain relative. Then they should understand that something's going on between that child and that relative. So then they should look into it. Don't you know that way too often children give off signs, either in their behavior when they have behavioral problems, or maybe say things that are upsetting, that shows you that something bad is going on? Those show that many times parents and even the environment doesn't want to hear it because they're so into the system, they're so into the distractions, the entertainment, and the labor. So then handing themselves over and enabling the system makes them useless to the well-being of their human community. So they're sacrificing both their own and their collective well-being. And that's how cycles of child molestation, child abuse, and domestic violence keeps on going. But let's say now you have someone, a worldly individual, he's not selling drugs, he's just on welfare, so he's not really active in the fear construct, but he just receives a payment because it allowed him to die. The evil of the system will become visible, so they gave him a paycheck like 1,000 euros at the end of the month, and he's alive. Let's say he now sees a child acting in very angry ways. He, instead of becoming upset and want to be left alone, he calls the child to him and asks what's going on. And then the child begins to tell him things and realizes, oh, something is wrong. And now this individual hands in a report concerning molestation is going on. Or let's say that he is a vigilante, he may decide to go after the perpetrator himself. I don't recommend that because that will likely get out of hand, but at least he realizes there must be an investment in the collective well-being of this community. And I'm part of this community, and I'm here, so I have my natural obligation towards others. But then you have those who are completely into society, into this relief seeking, they become useless. When the moment comes for them to act, they don't dare to act Because if they say something, the boss will not like it, you don't have a job, then they can't pay rent. So they become dependent on the approval of those predators through the roles. And I'm not saying that their boss at work directly is a predator, but even that boss is dependent on the structure enforced by those predators. So you need to be delivered from this fear construct in order to walk by faith. And even if you're not a believer, if you're not born again, to be useful and beneficial to the community that you're in, you need to be free from that fear construct. You have to. How can it be that 90% of your days are taken away from you? You're only left with 10%. There's 90% taken away, you're only left with 10%. How can you, in such a condition, be beneficial and, I would say, a blessing to your human community? That's not possible. It can't happen. That would be the same as saying that a poor individual can help a poor individual. It can't. Okay? Or that would be the same as saying that someone with sickness killing their body is glorifying God because they're enduring. No! You overcome the sickness and the sickness disappears. And if there's retaliation against your healing, you endure that victoriously. That glorifies the Most High. You have church that say, even that when sickness happens to them, it's a gift from God. Whoa, hold on a minute. Sickness, a gift from God? Are you right in your head? Seriously. Do you think clearly here? No, it's not a gift from the Most High. Okay? The gift from the Most High is the finished work of Christ. And He commands. He doesn't invite, so you don't have the option nor the right to refuse it. He commands you to repent so you'll become born again and walk by faith. So walk by faith is the commandment of the Most High for every human being that walks on the earth. So it was never an invitation, it was a declaration. I will say it again, the gospel is not an invitation, it's a declaration. It's a declaration of Christ's victory. There are those that refuse to acknowledge this declaration. And they turn into reprobates because their own rage destroys them. Does that cancel out the declaration? No. But a declaration is not an invitation. It's a declaration. It's the way it is. Look, if there's a hurricane coming towards, let's say, I'm in Nicaragua now. Let's say there's a hurricane coming. And authorities and people on the news say there's a hurricane coming. It's going to be very hard. Now, that hurricane is on its way. It is. So what they revealed is a declaration. Now, you can ignore the declaration thinking, oh, what are they talking about, man? And you can just go out on a lake or in the sea. And then there's a hurricane. Did the hurricane in itself harm you? No, the hurricane is just a weather pattern that came by. It would have been over in just a moment. You just have to acknowledge the reality and align yourself with reality so that you would be able to deal properly with the hurricane that was coming. But because you refused the declaration, now you brought yourself in trouble. That's what the gospel is. The gospel is not that Christ overcame and now you have an option if you want to serve, you have an option if you want to be saved. No, it's a declaration, and declaration implies that you ought to get along with the Lord. If someone, let's say if there's a contagious disease in a country, and that contagious disease costs human lives, and the authorities come with a remedy, they will enforce a policy that everyone that's infected by that disease has to go into quarantine to be healed, or to be treated so that they can be healed. Those that refuse will be forced and placed in quarantine, whether they want or not, because the safety of the community matters. So the sick individual or the infected individual has no right nor the option to say no. No, they are obliged naturally to get the remedy, to get help. Now the gospel is like that. It's a declaration that implies an obligation on your behalf. And once you comply with this obligation, there will be permanent benefits for you that will never end. So you never lose with the gospel. But those that hold on to pride, hold on to relief seeking, they turn into reprobates, and they're the ones destroying themselves permanently. So it's not the Most High doing anything to them. The vengeance the Most High will take is that He will remove the influence from the earth, force His justice and His peace everywhere, and their rage will remain on them, and that's why they're put in the lake of fire. That's the vengeance of the Most High on them. But the Most High isn't narcissically enraged and now He needs to throw it on them to full relief. That's not the Most High. Okay? They're the ones, they are the narcissists, they are the reprobates, they're the ones dumping all the time. They're the ones that refused to acknowledge the declaration. Anyway, I hope this video inspired you. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.